Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about what's in this box right here behind me. It's something that's a little bit different and part of my Fool's Errand series where I'm trying to see if I can make two bikes function very well as one bike. By that I mean I have a gravel bike and an off-road touring bike with a drop bar. And I'm trying to see if I can figure out some way to make these one bike that can do both these tasks 99% as well as the two. Now, that's the reason I call it the Fool's Errand. Because of course you can't really do that. But I'm gonna see if I can make it work well enough for me that I can actually accept the compromises that I have made and allow myself to have one less bike in the quiver. Now, I know everyone says N+1, but there comes a point where N+1 is not really a viable option. If you saw what was right there behind you, you'd understand what I mean. I have all very nice bikes. I like all the bikes I have, but I don't get to ride them all as much as I want, so it might be better to have less bikes that I can enjoy more on their own versus divvying up what each one can do. So, in this box is obviously a suspension fork. That's all Rockshox really does is suspension forks and rear shocks, and they're not making any rear shocks for gravel bikes, so I guess they have dropper posts too. That might actually come in the future as well. So let's take a look at it. It's a Rockshox Rudy. The Rudy is their gravel specific fork. This is the 40mm travel version. It's a 1/8, the 1-inch, the half-inch taper steer tube. It's a front arch. I will have to admit that I do think the Fox fork actually looks better than the Rockshox fork in this particular application. But you know, this is half the price. And they're basically the same weight. So it should give me everything that fork would offer. Same weight, half the price, so this is the one I have. Plus black matches my bike. And one thing they don't talk about with this fork is how long the steer tube is. It is quite long. Holding it next to my gravel fork, it is actually as long as my carbon rigid fork. Actually, it might be even a touch longer here at the top, but let's take a measure real quick. It is just shy of 310 millimeters long, so 31 centimeters. Now, one thing that has to be noted is that these forks are a little bit longer than your standard rigid fork for your gravel bike. Now, luckily my gravel bike has a slightly longer axle to crown on it already, so this actually affected a little bit less. What this longer axle crown will do, will raise the front of the bike up a little bit, it'll slacken the geometry, raise the bottom bracket, which some people may not like, and slacken the seat tube, which quite a few people probably won't like. But we're only talking maybe a half a degree here with this particular fork on this particular bike that I have. We'll talk about more of the bike later, probably in another video. This is mainly an overview of the fork itself. So what does the fork have available to you? It has a positive air pressure, which balances, via the standard pass-through port that Rockshox uses on almost all their forks now. So positive air. Has a lockout, which I haven't used yet, but supposedly it's the Charger Race, so this lockout is very locked out, I've been told. So the brake mount is what you would find on the rear of a lot of bikes. That uses the smaller mount. They actually supply the bolts in here, which is cool, so you don't have to worry about getting bolts, you don't have to worry about what length to get, and it has a 12 by 12 by 100 millimeter axle here. So something to notice about the axle is that it might be a little hard to see in the video here. But see, there's this insert on either side. Now, what the insert does, it covers up what is down here on both sides. And that is an insert so what they did with this fork, it's a little bit different than their mountain bike forks, is there is no offset in the lowers. It's all rake from the steer tube to the stanchions. I'm sure there's some good reason behind it. I'm not exactly sure. I won't go into it, but that's what they did. What does this happen though is that means your dropouts are perfectly in line with your shafts and your dampers. And what they've done is they made these inserts that we're just talking about. These inserts allow you to take out these inserts and get to the bolt into the lower. So it's one more step you're gonna have to do for servicing the fork, which is it's a small price to pay for what you're getting. And the overall design is quite nice. yeah, so you have to remove these, you go down there, you open it up so you can slide off your lowers and do what you do. Now the rebound adjuster is fully accessible right here. So it is an Allen key, but this is really not something you're gonna be adjusting much at all on the gravel bike. You're gonna set it and forget it. Guaranteed, pretty much 99% of people will only adjust it a couple of times, so that's fine. In fact, I think tooled adjustments on dampers is actually toolless adjustments on dampers is overrated. I think all it does is invite people to fickle with them too much. The average user does not change their dampers that much. So the cleaner toolless design is actually appreciated here, and I wish actually they would follow suit with more of the mountain bike forks. So one other thing that the Rudy does, as doing all the other modern forks, is there are 3 bolt holes for a fender here. Now the fender is a little bit different than what you find on other Rockshox forks. It is actually quite a bit longer, which I think for gravel is perfect. So it fits up in here, and it actually gives you off the back and off the front a little bit, and off this front is really gonna help with tire spray. I think you're really gonna eliminate a lot of tire spray with mud and wet roads and stuff like that. So that's actually a real benefit. And it's also, this is far enough back, just like on a mountain fork, so it keeps a lot of the dirt and the grime off of the stanchions, which is super nice. So, like I said, today is mainly an overview of the fork. I want it to be a little more cushion on the front of the bike. That's actually the reason I got it. It could take up to a 50 mil tire, so that's gonna be a little more cushion as well versus my 45 millimeter kind of max on the bike currently. Off-road touring bike has 2.2, so we're gonna see if this plus a larger tire is gonna be able to fill that gap and comfort on the front end, and it'll also add a little bit of control. Yeah, so that's where we're gonna go with this fork. Next video will be installing it on a bike, talking about what is done on the bike, and going for a first ride and seeing if this gets me closer to where I'm looking to be. So if you like the video, hit subscribe and like wherever they might be. They keep on changing them recently. As I develop the new video, I'll put a card up here referencing it, so you can just go right to the next video. And that's it for today. If you like what I saw, like I said, subscribe, it'd be great. It really helps the channel. Comments if you have any questions, anything you want me to particularly go over about this fork or my gravel setup, or why am I even doing this? Yeah, drop a comment down below. It gets really good activity for the channel, helps out a lot. Until then, just ride.